We were in the summer where there was so much racial unrest and so much unrest around people fighting for the right to live, fighting for the right to exist in this country as a Black person.
We have to make a decision. Black, white, brown, tall, skinny, short, it doesn't matter. One injustice, one place is an injustice in every place.
A lot of times, especially in church and modern age, when we see protests like this, we don't necessarily know how to respond. We need to set the culture, and we need to set the pace, and we need to set the vision for what justice can look like. We could be leaders in a godly way to stand up and say, hey, we believe that this is how we should treat all people, and that all people have a right to live, and that we're gonna stand with our Black brothers and sisters during this time and, you know, affirm the experience that they've had in this country. And we're gonna do it in a way that honors and uplifts them while giving everybody a voice to be an ally and to be a part of the process. We wanted to do something that was extreme, and so my colleague Steve Saboto, who is also an Ironman triathlete and an ultra runner, and he's an insane endurance athlete, and I'm an insane endurance athlete, and you mix us together in ministry at that time, and you get the Freedom Run.
When it comes to events or races, I don't just want to do things just to do it. Just to get a medal or get a t-shirt or that kind of thing. But I really want to be able to partner my greatest hobby and passion, you know, running triathlon, that kind of stuff, with my calling. Pointing people to Jesus, helping people, and making a difference in people's lives. And so I think when the two of those collide, it's a pretty special thing.
We left out from the church office in Soho, and I felt that we had done so much work in preparation in the lead up that I felt confident that we would at least make it to the first stop.
I feel good. Running through New York, it's a fun run. It's just a cool thing being able to run, putting ourselves in kind of uncomfortable moments of pain and discomfort, running to help families that are walking through unthinkable hurt, unthinkable pain. Just to play a small part in it is pretty special. And yeah, we are now in State 2, New Jersey, and we're gonna be in Jersey for a bit.
Logistically, the Freedom Run was a nightmare. You can't take 11 runners running down the New Jersey Turnpike. And so there was no direct way for us to take one road there because that just would not be safe. We had to chart out a path from New York to DC that avoided all of the major highways. We had like meandering roads through different cities.
I think we're in Mainville, New Jersey. Manville, New Jersey. And then I'm running to a place called Belle Mead. Is that right? Yeah, Belle Mead.
I think so.
It honestly was like a stop-by-stop thing. And there were things in the process of going through certain parts of the route that I knew were gonna be challenging.
The air's pretty thick. And
right,
I sweat a lot.
It's more humid now.
Definitely more humid. And you constantly run by fast food drive-thrus. And dude, I saw Checkers. I was so close, dude. I figured Tim wouldn't like me doing that. I'm tired because of run, but so many people have been mistreated, so many people have been disenfranchised, so many people are gone and locked up for things that aren't even a thing, you know, and that's a long life of suffering. And if I can just have to deal with heavy breathing for a few miles, man, that's my job.
Right.
If that's all I could do, then I would gladly do it every day.
We had never done this before, and really it was a lot of prayer and wisdom and asking God to lead us.
A little tender, not bad, not great. We got it done.
Yeah, Steve set it off great.
Yeah.
He was dressed the part. He went from
rough and ready to eloquent in like a split second when he come out of the car, and he just set the tone.
All growing up, played sports. Sports have always been a huge part of my life, but it was in college that I did my first race. It was absolutely brutal. It was awful. And I hated it, but I loved it because I knew I had better. And so the next year I decided I'm gonna give it another crack. And from there, did a lot better. And I've just loved running ever since.
My name is Victoria Rodriguez. I am originally from Chicago. I've been in New York almost 16 years. I've been kind of running on and off throughout my life. Started in high school, not really long distance, but you know, I think it was the only sport I could not get cut from. So that kind of was like my initial intro into running. I kind of just fell in love with it at that point. But it was kind of on accident, I would say. It wasn't like I was like, I'm going to do long distance running. Absolutely not. I would have laughed if someone would have told me I would have run a marathon when I first signed up for one. And then it was just like bit by the running bug, if you will.
Hi, I'm Laura. I am a 17-year career Army officer. And really, I think a lot of that comes from the influence that I grew up with. My father is an Army officer as well. I definitely did not grow up as a runner. I actually grew up as a swimmer. The only times that we ran was at the very beginning of the season when we would run stadium stairs. And I specifically remember that was the time. It's like, no, let's get in the pool.
I was in a middle school cross-country team. I was the slowest one, but it didn't matter. I'll run about 5 days a week, 3 days during the weekday and twice on the weekends. But because I know that we're running about 10 miles each for 3 times, so I'm trying to simulate that feeling of running 10 miles, solid 10 miles.
I'm Cindy Cortez. I'm from Colombia. Right now I live in Boston, work at MIT as human resources. When I sign up in advance for a race, I have to have a mindset. Like I need to certain miles before race day, and if I can do this, I know I can finish it.
One of the things we really prayed about was making sure we had a team that was very positive, who, when the going got tough, they were actually like in good spirits.
We have a great team. Everyone is excited, and we're just, excited to be here.
They were the people who were like, okay, I'm doing this for a reason, we're on a mission. And that shifted the way things could have gone.
I think sometimes I prepare my mindset for the run, and other times my run helps my mindset.
Your brain becomes more tough. I mean, especially when you're really tired, if you had a really hot day, like you have to push through those mental blocks. Oh, I can't. And that's when, your focus on how you can manage and push through it becomes stronger. And then basically you can achieve anything you want.
Getting through that hump of maybe if there's if it's a really painful part of the race, or it's just maybe a challenging part in the race, how I get through, or kind of how I focus myself, is just remembering what the bigger picture is. Why am I running? You're almost there. Honestly, when I'm running, I'm thinking a lot about finishing, because you know that's just all right, you just gotta push through because you're going across that line. And if you're running for a larger purpose than that, it just makes it so much easier because it's not about you.
Victoria's almost at the aid station here. Then we're gonna drive to stop number 14, and that's where I'm gonna take off. And then we're gonna meet up with Kalia. It's her birthday today, by the way.
It was actually my birthday, which was really fun. And I hadn't planned on running as much as I ended up doing. And in between having no sleep and doing the logistics stuff, I was like, I have to make up. My ego was like, you gotta get back out there.
I fully believe that running is not just physical, that endurance sport is not just physical, but it's a whole lot mental. We got a whole lot more inside of us than we realize. We can do and push our bodies a whole lot further than we realize that we can.
I'm like, all right, Jesus, I can't do this without you, because when I feel like I'm gonna pass out on the side of the road, I need a supernatural grace. Really, that's how it feels.
I feel like this is the year of purpose, and that was my word for this year, is purpose. So wherever God wanted me to be, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
We sort of knew it was gonna be tough because, you have people experiencing fatigue. Some runners ran up to 30 plus miles. In addition to that, we were coming down with a huge crew. We had an RV, we had a tour bus, we had a film vehicle, like a buggy. I mean, it was a whole circus. And so behind the scenes, it was people sleeping where they could sleep. We had a tour bus that had 11 beds. We had to find stopping points in between that would be realistic for us to say, hey, every 20 miles we decided to stop, and where can we park all of these vehicles? At the same time, we wanted to make sure that the runners were safe. And runner safety, aside from all of this, was my biggest concern, was making sure that everyone arrived healthy, not injured, and in one piece in Washington, D.C.
The aid stations were very equipped with all the good foods. I mean, aid stations and ultras is like, they have peanut butter and jelly, they have M&Ms, they have soda. I mean, things that you didn't think you would want to eat after you're running like 25 miles, but by the time you hit 25, you're hungry.
I definitely have found different times of the day that I'm more kind of energetic. And I think a lot of that does have to do with fueling and food. I've definitely tried to get over that freak out about eating too many carbs. And it's like, no, I need those.
My bottles are in the cooler right now because it's a little hot out. But in one of my bottles, I'll have like an electrolyte drink. I'm definitely trying to keep my sodium up, especially with it being hot out. And then another one that has a little bit of caffeine. And then I also have some energy gels. And this is just another electrolyte tablet that I can put with some water as my medic refuels me on the go. And then I've got some fruit snacks. So sometimes a little bit of sugar helps, but definitely trying to get some good fuel, not only at the beginning and the end of the runs, but as we go throughout the run too.
I always love when I get to a point where I feel like I can't go any further, and then that only lasts for a mile or 2 miles. It's rough in that time, but how it feels when you get past that, it's incredible.
Trying to, get through the heat right now is really mile to mile. If I feel out of breath, I'm going too fast, so I slow down. I get into a pace, and then continue it, and if I feel like, okay, catch my breath, I can move, faster. But for me, the rhythm is also on the pavement of my feet. With that rhythm of my feet and my breath at the same time, it helps me to focus on my body.
Being able to push through bonk, you're not yourself at that point anymore. You got nothing left in you, similar to hitting the wall. But in those moments right there, I absolutely love those, and I look forward to those types of things, because then that's when you really see what you're made of.
Your physical prep is only going to get you so far. When, stuff really hits the fan, you're going to need to pull from something deeper that's more meaningful. In terms of like running for social justice and just bringing awareness to this cause, it's really going to be falling back on that and knowing that you're building awareness in a new creative way. You're doing your part to make a difference. This run, at least for me as an individual, whatever I experience going through that run, it's not even near probably what others have experienced in some of the hardships and trials that they've gone through in their life. There are things that have just been, since the start of this nation, just not working the way that they should be working. It's not equal, it's not equitable for everyone. And I think it kind of starts with just having the awareness to recognize how impactful that is on individuals.
We are the body of Christ, and the gospel is the ultimate message of freedom and redemption, and love is the spirit and the motivation behind the Freedom Run.
What do you feel like kept people running and kept everybody energized?
I think the fact that we had clocked so many miles at that point, that night before we got into the Capitol, it was the spirit of like, oh my gosh, like I think we're actually gonna finish.